Welcome to Surviving Social Services, the safe space for families to share their experience with social services in the UK. I'm Renaya, your host, and this is more than just conversations. This is community. Before we start, just a quick disclaimer. The views shared in this podcast are for personal and awareness purposes only. I am not a legal professional and this is not legal advice. If you're dealing with social services or legal matters, please seek support from a qualified, professional or trusted organisation. Names and identifying details may be changed or withheld to protect privacy. Okay guys, I'm about to introduce our next caller, so please give Louise a warm welcome. Hey Louise.
Hi, you alright?
So thank you for joining us today and thank you for having the courage to share your story.
It's not a problem. I think people need to be more aware of what social actually do and are capable of.
Yeah, exactly. It's important.
Yeah.
Right, so to kick us off, if you wouldn't mind, please could you tell us what was the reason you was given for their involvement?
So social first got involved with me and my ex-partner at the time due to domestic violence. Now, they were not kind of aware what was going on and the stresses involved and kind of what led up to what it led up to. And that isn't kind of sugarcoating what happened. It was just there was a very, very high pressure situation for about 6 months. Kind of during my pregnancy and after my daughter was born, as I lost my dad, my auntie, my best friend in the space of 6 months. And there was a lot of financial pressure going on at the time too. So there was kind of a lot. And then my ex-partner had kind of a different court case going on about his children with his ex. So there was a lot of pressures that led up to it. So when social first got involved, they were alerted by the police under the grounds that there was a domestic that took place. It was kind of both parties led up to the breaking point due to stress, and that's what was written down in the document.
Okay.
Sorry. So they first initially came out and they were kind of just speaking on how they would support the family and what the next steps would be. Now, it was very kind of fast-paced. Within a week and a half, I ended up overdosing due to stress. I generally couldn't take it. I didn't want to be alive. At this point in time, my daughter was 5 months old, and I went to my mum's. I moved out of the property. Now, I begged and begged and begged for them to support, to put me somewhere that wasn't at my mum's, because me and my family have the best of bonds. My older sister lived there, and we really didn't get on well. And it sounds quite bad, but there was she had quite a lot of animals within the house, so there was kind of dogs and cats with hair everywhere, and I was on edge 24/7 because it was constantly getting in her mouth and she was choking on it. So I begged this social worker about 4 times to put me in a unit or a refuge to get me out. To help me and support me the way that I needed supported, and she point blank told me no. So after a week and a half of this, I went back to the property after speaking to the social worker, making her very aware that I had nothing at my mum's for my daughter. I couldn't financially go out and provide all that stuff again, and they weren't willing to help with that. And when I left, they literally told me to get her free sleep suits and free vests and a bottles, and that was that. Wow. That is all they allowed me to get. So I ended up going back after having this conversation. She said that she would speak to legal and let me know before I made any moves, with not letting me go, kind of put me into a unit or helping me get house, kind of quite within that week and a half or anything. There's so many options that she could have actually done that wouldn't have led to me going back, if that makes sense. And they just kind of denied it. So I went back, and for a week and a half, I had absolutely nothing. No social worker, no legal, no nothing. It was absolutely blank. The only person I had a message of was the health visit, and that she was coming out just to do normal checks, because my daughter was born with strep B. So she wasn't very well. and she struggled with feeding. So she'd previously just been out the week before at my mum's, and she was put on a strict feeding plan, which involves kind of very little and often feeds to try and keep something down her, because she wouldn't keep any milk down her. She was just quite literally projectile vomiting everywhere, to the point she was projectile vomiting stomach acid, and it was kind of backwards and forwards to the doctors constantly. On that same day, she had her 8-week checks, and I got a message as I was meeting the health visitor, because I had the doctors in the morning as well with her, to say from the social worker, "Are you in? I'm coming out." And I replied, "Yes, I'm in. No problem. Just let you know, I have got a health visitor around." And the minute she walked into that house, she didn't even knock. She just walked in. Just quite literally walked in. There was no nothing. She started nitpicking to the point where the health visitor actually pulled her up on it, because she told me how I was holding my baby. Now my baby was very, very alert. She loved to look around, and she was very, very headstrong. So she was held supportive but looking out. And she turned around and went, "You are going to kill your baby like this. Hold her correctly now." And the health visitor turned around and went, "She's not doing anything wrong. The baby is very, very headstrong and is very, very alert. She's more than capable of the way she's holding her. I don't have a concern about it." Wow. From that point in time, the way my daughter, now the last time she was out was a week prior, and obviously with her feeding problems that they were already aware of and having a strep A, she didn't gain weight, but she didn't lose it, so she just stayed at the same for a week, right? And now this is a massive factor, because then the social worker got onto her manager to inform the manager that she was neglected. And within an hour, she had the police called out to remove my daughter under police protection for neglect, then followed up by domestic violence if they couldn't hold it. It was later found in court that there was no neglect found.
Yeah, pieces of shit. Sorry, my language. I'm probably going to have to edit that out. Do you know how similar that is to my story I was even arrested for neglect. Then when they found out there was no neglect, let's go back to the domestic violence. Flipping. Yep. Oh, I hate that so much.
It just gets worse. So I spent from that 8 months, and they actually accepted me into a refuge after they removed my daughter, because it led to another domestic, which we knew that was going to happen. They were fully aware of what was going to happen after removing a child and leaving two very, very, I was broken.
Highly emotional, like.
Come on. I was absolutely broken, and
of course,
there was nothing I could get out, get out of my head to go kind of what has just gone on, like what has actually happened. My daughter was 8 weeks old when she was removed, so she was very, very tiny. She needed her mother. There was no kind of she didn't need her. There was nothing.
It must have been so difficult, man.
It was absolutely, it was
like a movie, right? Like, completely surreal, like.
Yeah, you live in fight or flight mode. And that's the hardest thing, because you constantly live in fear of what's going to be next. You don't want to have them meetings. You don't want to have you don't want to have that face-to-face conversation with a social worker, because you know how it's going to end, and it's not going to be good. It's very, very difficult. I mean, I spent probably 6 months out of the 8 months working to get her home, to be told right the way through by a social worker that this was to teach me a lesson and I would never see my child again. And that isn't even the worst part of what this social worker has done.
Have you ever asked to change a social worker?
Yes, social worker got changed, but it's from the exact same office. The silver social worker still has a very, very high involvement in the case, and the new social worker goes back to the old one for anything she needs.
Yeah, and it's the management as well. You don't even know like where their manager stands on this.
Well, the problem is the manager. Now, I've had many arguments with this manager about in which the ways that were managed. So it was handled and stuff like that. Formal complaints, that some of which have been upheld and others have not. Or just very, very kind of diabolical responses from them to say, well, actually, that didn't happen, or the lies are constantly twisting words. Well, that's the thing in all of these reports is constant. Well, you didn't say that. That isn't the case.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it even harder. I mean, I actually brought my daughter home, but it's not all happy rainbows, unfortunately.
Don't.
Yeah. My daughter was home for 5 weeks, and they set me up every which way possible you could imagine. I spent that full 5 weeks arguing with the social worker to get a birth certificate, which my mum actually had to order, and she ordered it to the wrong address. So she ordered it to my old property, and I was still in refuge. And now social work was fully aware of this, but all of my appointments and everything, like social-wise, was an hour's drive from where I was placed.
Wow.
When my daughter came home, and I told them beforehand, I said, look, I am not going to be in the financial situation to be driving an hour 4 times a week there and back.
So was you ever told, did you ever get given an ultimatum of, if you leave this partner who you've had this experience with, we will let you have your child, or was there no options?
When she was first removed, and I'm trying to track down the body cam footage from them officers, that she gave me about 6 options that day to say, get my stuff and leave on a first removal. And I said I would happily do it. And she turned around and in all the reports, she said I wasn't cooperating, I wasn't willing to work with her, I wasn't this, I wasn't that.
Is it? And that's not what happened?
And that isn't what happened. I said I actually had a phone call because I had to take myself outside for about 10 minutes because they were just sitting, waiting for the police to turn up. And I took myself outside and I phoned my mum and I said, this is going to happen. I said, I've told them I'm more than happy to leave. I said, I've told them I will get my stuff right now and we'll walk out this door. And then they went and said that.
You're literally telling them, I will do whatever you want. I'll do what you ask.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people don't realise is they rely on people not being cooperative and not complying to then make happen what they want to happen.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is where it just gets kind of worse and worse because on my daughter's second removal, they're currently stating that she was removed under police protection. She wasn't. Police in the report, they will tell you clear as day, they were called out.
They were called out by social. It happens all the time.
They were called out by the social worker on a 999 call, saying that there was ongoing domestic violence gain access into the property because the social worker had followed me because I just moved refuge and they put a new safety plan in place which I wasn't aware of. I had asked and no one informed me of the new safety plan. So every time I left refuge, I think I was in that refuge for 2 weeks before I left, and they made me homeless. They followed me from the minute I left to the minute I got back in.
Do you mean literally was following you?
You literally follow me, yeah.
Wow.
And it is classed as being illegal.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
So the day that she was actually removed, I had a major kind of breakdown to my worker and said, I generally cannot financially afford, yes, I'm close, I'm, back in the area. I said, but I cannot afford to live at this point in time. I said, I can't, no one's allowed to look after my daughter. So I actually returned to that property. I couldn't leave my daughter with anyone. I sat outside this property for half an hour making sure it was empty. Everything was off, all the lights were off. It was 6 o'clock in the evening. So I was away, My ex who was still working away because that's what he did. So as far as I was aware, this property was empty. Now it's got in their report, and this is it blows my blood because the social worker at the time and then the social worker that came out with her who followed me have got two different reports.
Wow.
One of them says that they saw me in the car, and that was the other social worker, and I was sat in the car for half an hour before I entered the property, and the other one said that was in the property for an hour. I had to go and get a birth certificate. I didn't have a choice left. I was panicking on how I was going to afford to feed her next month. And that was my main concern.
Yeah.
I went in.
They're following you.
Yeah. I went in the property. There was absolutely nothing. I shouted hello to make sure there was no one in there. I went into the front door to see the mail because it had been there a couple of weeks. And knowing my ex, he would have just put it on the sofa and left it. And I didn't actually want him to know why I was there to get it in the first place. And I then, about 5 minutes later, I think he came to the top of the stairs and said, hello, what you doing? I said, look, I'm not here to cause problems. I said, I'm just getting a couple of bits. I'll be gone in 5 minutes, if that. I said, at no point in time did my daughter go near him. He didn't come near me. Nothing. Within them 5 minutes, the police were at the door.
Wow.
Because she's called an ongoing domestic violence as soon as I entered that property.
Yeah, because they would say, oh, you're not safeguarding yourself. You're putting yourself at risk.
Yeah.
So
and
then
it wasn't
who is meant to go and get it? Who's going to go and do it? Are you going to wait for them?
Well, this is what they said. Well, we could have got you a copy. You could have went.
Yeah, but then you're going to tell us about you got to do it next week because you got work and what's that thing they go on leave and annual leave and
yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I said to it in court as well. I said I had asked you for 3.5 weeks prior under an urgent matter.
Wow.
Said you had all the opportunity and the time to give me that birth certificate.
Actually even gave them the time beforehand as well. It's not like you didn't tell them. It's not like you just showed up for something they didn't know about.
No. And also I make it, and to be honest, I was appalled by it. So when my daughter first came back, when they were introducing her back in, it was done over 2 weeks. And it kind of started off slow. There was a lot of problems with transport. Some days she would turn up, some days she wouldn't. And then she just came back on that Monday, and there was supposed to be a family time worker come out every other day to check in. Not once in 5 weeks, other than the staff in the refuge, saw me and my daughter had any contact with me until I reached out to them when I had to take my daughter to hospital because she had an allergic reaction.
And that's when they reached out.
Yeah. And said, well, why hadn't you registered a doctor sooner, blah, blah, blah. And the reason I didn't register because I was meant to be moving to this new refuge. And it took a couple of weeks longer than I expected.
Wow. It just seems like everything can and will be used against you.
Oh, yes. And it gets, as I say, even worse, unfortunately.
Wow.
When my daughter was removed, I got my solicitor at the time to put a court hearing in to try and discharge the care order under wrongful removal.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it impossible to do that because the social worker, and I was working alongside the homeless team at the time because I had a 7-day referral, so I had to be out refuge within 7 days. I turned around and told the homeless team I was going back to my ex-partner. So therefore, they left me homeless for 2 days before something was picked up by the refuge by a manager to say, hold up, what's actually gone on here? This isn't right. It was just because of this when I went to court because technically I was homeless. I couldn't fight because then I would be putting her in a more risky situation because we had nowhere to go.
And then that will be used against you too. Yeah, I see what you mean.
So I actually said to the judge in that hearing, I said, look, at this point in time, I am going to have to drop the case on these reasons because there isn't anywhere, we could go. It was took as a very admirable thing to do by the judge, and the fact that I was putting our safety first. But now we're at the point of I went through another parenting assessment and they failed me. And they failed me, and this is quite laughable, on CCTV that they got from the next door neighbour from my ex's house, because I went to collect some stuff and drop some of the stuff that I had off, because at the time I had a phone that he bought for me, or his family bought for me, and I was due an upgrade, and he asked for it back, because I said, what, it's not my property technically, what do you want me to do with it? And they pulled that as that I was still in a relationship with him. And that is what they're presenting to court if
because they can, they if they can twist it, they will. Yeah, literally.
And this is, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, there is quite a lot of evidence against them now, because they have informed this neighbour. Now, this neighbour has been she has been reported at least 4 times for harassment now.
Okay.
In regards of, she's constantly putting reports in, even though, our daughter was removed ages ago. There's still reports to this day going in, and not just to them, to the estate agents and stuff like that. Now, bear in mind, I don't live there. Other than that once, I have not been to the property in a year. And that is, twice, when I got a birth certificate and then when I was doing some stuff. And the fact that she is fully aware of everything that is ongoing in this case is a massive breach.
Yeah, of course. Who is this lady?
Generally, it should not be used in court.
No, of course not. Because how can this be proven to even be true?
This is the problem, because they're just going off what they want and what they presume
and using
happening
it in
and
the way that they want to make it look however they want.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's so far-fetched, but it's good, because then at least other people can see, oh, you're taking this too far.
Yeah.
So where are you now in your process?
So right now I'm waiting for family assessment still to come back. My sister's being reassessed. This is the second time she's been reassessed, and his mum is being assessed as well. However, and it sounds really, really bad, I have very, very little hope that anyone is going to pass this, because these are now the 16th people that have been put forward or reassessed.
Wow. And
every single one has failed.
It's so sad, yeah, and I don't even want to say this, but do you know what? When a baby is really young and they get their hands on them, it's really rare for them to come back. Yeah. And it's an actual thing. Like, no matter, I've heard like people say they've even given like actual people who used to do foster caring or work in the care system, and even they get told, no, we're keeping the baby. This is not positive. So.
And this is the biggest thing now, because from that stage it will be re-entered into court for adoption.
Yeah, of course.
Now the court is already aware that I would be fighting the adoption.
Yeah.
The problem we stand now, and it is kind of a major problem, especially in my head, is the fact that my daughter, her safety bubbles currently right now are the foster carer and me, because that's who she sees the most. She's been with the same foster carers since she was 8 weeks old, apart from them 5 weeks where she came back from England.
Because a lot of times they don't even keep them with the same person. So that's good. I know obviously it's not what we want. We would prefer the baby to be with the mother, but at least she's stable.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I generally couldn't be more grateful for the foster carers, and it sounds,
bless. I understand. I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
they are doing that job, and you generally couldn't praise them up more.
And you just need, as long as you get somebody who is a genuine nice person, and you can feel that from them, that's all you need. It really makes the difference, because then the mum gets to go home and at least think, okay, my child is in safe hands. So it makes a big difference.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it is difficult. I mean, I still currently see my daughter 3 times a week at the minute for an hour.
That must be so hard.
It's getting harder and harder as the time goes on, because she's more alert. She's a lot more alert to who people are now. And this is reached out. I said to the social, many of times, I said, at the minute you are doing more damage than anything was ever done to her. I said, you can say you're not, but if you put that little girl up for adoption, both her safety bubbles that she knows of are gone. Yeah. I said, that's her, she by the time this processes, she's going to be.
But they don't care about that. They're sad, but they don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
I mean,
it's disgusting, because think about the child. Like, okay, let's not think, they don't want to think about the mothers, because the mothers are monsters, but think about the little baby child who is now, like you said, going to lose 2 support bubbles because you're fighting to put her in adoption. Crazy.
Yeah. And, this is even my mum. So my mum actually comes to 1 contact session a week, and she has built that bond back up since November, when she went back in, with my daughter. So, there's that as well. And it is very difficult, and especially when you look at it from, an outsider's perspective, and look at the stats, and especially on this, I'll say, contact centre, because that's what it is, but that's where the in particular, these social workers are from. They have one of the highest removal rates within a 50-mile radius. Wow. If that doesn't tell you enough, it's absolutely, it's disgusting. And even the family time workers will sit there and agree with me now, is to say they don't actually have any concern over my parenting. Not 1 ounce of concern. It is the safety plan they are concerned over.
So looking back now, is there anything you feel you might have done differently? Whether that be cooperate more, not cooperate at all? How would you
There's
go
lots
about
of things that I think I could have done a lot differently. Don't get me wrong, at the beginning, the biggest one is not go back. But, a lot of it probably would have been not so much as engage with them, but not tell them everything. And that is a big one I would stand on, Yeah. And also record everything they have said. Every phone call, every meeting, anything. Because yet to this day, I have still not received 1 set of minutes from any of my meetings.
Yeah.
And that's, nearly 12 months worth, over 12 months worth of meetings.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And I've not had 1 thing from them.
I'm so sorry you're going through this, ma'am.
So I think, as I say, it's hard. And then from the other perspective, from all the, meetings and minutes and conversations I go through and everything else, is even difficult because right now, as Dad's perspective, Dad has 1 contact a month. He's classed as a high risk predator, whatever it is. Sorry, I'm not up to all the terms with it, but he's classed as high risk. However, they asked him to do a 26 weeks long domestic course to increase his contact and to be put through a parent and assessment again, because the first round of parent assessments, the social worker did not engage with either of us, and I think there was 3 or 4 sessions completed for mine and 1 for his. So there was nothing. don't actually know how I passed my first assessment, to be honest, because there was generally nothing there. But as far as I'm aware, Dad has actually got this stated in minutes now to say,
really,
this was the ground. If he did this course, he would get more contact. And they lied to the team that was doing this course to say that is not why he's on it. That is not what's going to happen. And that is what they went with since. So he's been on a monthly contact with no increase, no nothing, anything like that. Which it's mental when you think of it that way. And I am very, very grateful for the contact I do have, and the fight that it's actually took to get to the contact where I should have. You know,
it's all you get. Innit?
Honestly, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Yeah. I really wouldn't.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And not only that, I think it's the physical and mental toll it takes on you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a for lifetime thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, the trauma that you're never going to let go.
A lot of people think that if you are lucky enough to get your kids back, once you do get your kids back, it's over, but you still live with the fear, the trauma. Anybody makes a malicious call, you're just frightened. So once you've been through it, that's it.
Well, this is the thing, and I found it very, very difficult from the day that my daughter came back. My solicitor told me this was a setup.
Yeah.
And it had me on guard every single day.
Yeah.
And it's very, very hard trying to keep that distance, and it sounds horrible, and not get that bond back with your child.
Because you know it's going to go soon.
No, it's going to, yeah.
But then I would say I have to make sure I'm forcing a bond, because my PTSD even doesn't fully allow me to believe that they're not just going to go any minute. And we're talking nearly 10 years on. I still believe like this could all end soon. Like, I'm very grateful and appreciative of every single day I get, because I know what it's like not to have them.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
So it's heartbreaking. Like you said, you wouldn't wish that on your worst enemy.
Oh, not at all. And, you know, it's, as I say, it is horrible. It's, you know, not only the mental, but the physical toll it took on me at the beginning. And it sounds really daft, but when my daughter was first removed, I got really, really bad phantom kicks from the day that she was removed to the day that she was brought back. And they just stopped. Wow. And the day that she was removed again, they started.
That's a proper mother's body, that.
Yeah. It's horrible. Even, you know, unfortunately, even now, the health issues I'm experiencing now, which they are putting down to very, very overwhelming stress, and you know, some of them are serious problems. And for example, I've got a very, very, very fast heart rate at the minute, and which they are having to keep a very, very tight eye on.
Yeah, I've had to go to hospital because of that, because of the same thing. Heart rate high, and they have to wait for it to come down. It's like the stress that they put on you, it is literally, it could take your life. And like, there is people who have actually sadly gone and taken their life because of it.
Oh, 100%. And I think this, you know, especially for, you know, your family's perspective, it is, you know, as much as it's traumatic for them, they wake up thinking every day, you know, is this person going to be alive or not?
Yeah.
Can they cope much more? And that is the horrible thing, because it gets to the point where you know how mentally drained and physically drained you are. As much as you want to keep fighting, you don't have that fight left.
Don't have it, yeah.
And unfortunately for me, that is where the point I am at in terms of
just
I will keep fighting.
Yeah.
But the physical and mental toll that it's taking and draining, like day to day, like stuff like having meetings with them and stuff like that, I absolutely dread. I'll put off every which way I can if I can. And I'm absolutely dreading it, because I know for a fine fact if I say one word. I've got an advocate. My mum's also going to be there, and it's also going to be recorded.
Good.
But I know if I say one thing that they don't approve of, it'll just be used against me.
Yeah, and you know, don't be scared of them. Don't be scared. At the end of the day, you do have to be respectful, but just know your rights and stick to their procedures. If I was you, I'd go and read their procedures and policies and quote it to them. When they're telling you certain stuff, you need to know the book. And it's sad because we shouldn't even have to. This is not our job. But when it comes to fighting for our children, well, if we have to be a solicitor today, if we have to be a social worker tomorrow, that's what we're just going to do.
Oh, 100%. And, you know, as I say, you know, it's very, very hard to do it, but you do. You fight through it. You know, it's that fight or flight, and unfortunately,
you never know how strong you are until you have to be strong, boy.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, that is the biggest thing, and I think for me it makes it even worse. One of my best friends, her sister is actually going through the same. Not the same case, but
the same kind of, even with their involvement. Thing. Yeah.
With their involvement, you know, her daughter's been removed as well. Actually 10 days apart from when my daughter was removed.
Too common.
And it's too common. You know, it's the same area, same, you know, and it's the last thing you would even think. And it is so, you know, you sit there and you watch how many people actually struggle. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you try to have these conversations and, you know, it just ends up with the fact of, well, as much as you want to fight, you know, you already know in your head what that outcome's going to be. And I think that's the worst part.
It's sad. There's only so much I can say. Keep the faith, keep strong, don't give up, but at the end of the day, I'm not in your position, and I couldn't even flipping imagine.
Yeah.
Just please, at least stay in contact. At least just have some support. Have people around you. Don't go through this alone.
No, I've got people around me, and I will definitely stay in contact. Hopefully, you know, you never know. There might be a breakthrough. There might, you know, all the evidence we've got stopping it.
I might be called naive at sometimes, and you know, I believe anything can happen if you keep the faith. So
100%.
I'm gonna pray for you. I pray for all my guests that come on the show, anyways, and I believe something can happen with the more stories that are told and the more voices that are shared. I just think they have to be fair now. Like, this is so unfair what's happening.
100%. And hopefully the more, you know, and this is my hope, the more that people are aware what actually happens, the more that it might actually get out and get around, you know, and hopefully be a point where we can certainly stop forced adoption. Because there's so many people that have went through it, and, you know, that's lifelong. You never know at the end of that if your child is actually going to come home.
Yeah, it's sad. Well, thank you so much, Louise, for doing this today, for having the courage to share your story.
Not a problem. As I say, I just hope it generally does reach out to people, and more people will start reaching out as well.
Yeah. All right, Louise. Well, you take care.
You too. Thank you.
Speak soon, hun. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that one was a difficult one. But we thank Louise for joining the show today. It is hard, it's difficult. And could you imagine having everything you do and say written down in a file and used against you? It's a joke. But it's reality. So, as always, some of these conversations are hard to listen and even harder to tell, but they are important and they do need to be heard. Please like, comment and subscribe if you like this episode, if you want to see more, and if you have a story to tell, please send us a message. Bye.